we got to start with Seth Joyner and Negadelphia because you wrote the what are we calling it, a column, a post, a blog, whatever you want to call it.
I don't
And
know. It wasn't very well written. It was just a bunch of thoughts that I barfed out onto the.
It immediately set Twitter on fire early in the day at like I want to say 8:30 in the morning. It was a nice, I guess, aperitif to the day for people.
Yeah.
Now, what I think is I agree with his statement that it's hard to be critical when they win the game, but it's necessary. It was an ugly game. It's just that when you kind of build up the same persona over the years of being the negative guy and everything, it's hard to shake that brand. It's hard.
Yeah, it's very
hard,
repetitive. I mean, it's like the same thing with him, you know?
At some point, you are what you are, but I did want to ask you, though, you said it in I think your opening statement was, why do you think the negative stuff isn't justified after a 5-0 start?
In the immediacy of a win that pushes you to 5-0, and we are not even 30 minutes removed from that. He's talking about the Cowboys could possibly embarrass them. Man, shut the fuck up. Who cares about the Cowboys? He's talking about the Cowboys defense like they're the 1985 Chicago Bears. Enjoy this win, analyze this win. Don't need to be talking about like the quest for perfection right now. You know, it's just that it's the same shtick with him over and over, Kyle. It's like defense was tougher when I played. You know, we used to blitz 7 every single time. You know, these guys aren't tough enough. It's just the same thing with him over and over again. I understand that that's a player's perspective. Jalen Hurts says a lot of the same things. We need to get better. There's a lot of stuff that needs to improve. We're going to look at the film and get back. Okay, fine. But that's not how fans think, right? Seth Joyner, Jalen Hurts, former players, current players, they're all conditioned to think, hey, it's not good enough. We're going to work on it. We got to focus on things that we need to improve. We're going to go 1-0. But whatever other platitude or cliche you can come up with, you know what I'm saying? That's great. I mean, and that's the mindset you should have when you're a player or a former player, that you're always looking to improve. You're always looking to get better. But that doesn't interface very well with post-game analysis, which is supposed to be 50-50. I don't need to hear the same thing from Seth Joyner every single time. They were good, but this happened. But if they don't fix this, then X, Y, Z. You know, analyze this game. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like. Call it down the middle. Everything with him, it just trends negative. It's always trended negative. It's tired shit of when I played, it was like this, and we were this tough, and our defense was like this. I get it, man. You don't need to tell us that over and over and over again. And a lot of that stuff worked. And a lot of the Ricky Bose stuff, too, works when the Phillies are just okay or they're not that good. But he needs to read the room and understand this team is 5-0, man. They haven't been 5-0 since 2004. It's hard, man. Going out on the road and winning on the road in the NFL is tough. They beat an okay Cardinals team, okay? They didn't play great. They found a way to win, okay? We can do all that. We got the rest of the week, Pagan, to look at the All-22, to dive into the film, look at the defensive calls on that drive, and analyze the game as we go throughout the week. In the immediacy of a big win, enjoy the win, analyze the win, celebrate the win. And his shtick is just so old, man. It's just grumpy. It's just beyond grumpy. It's like, there's always room for being critical. Nobody here is waving pom-poms and saying it's sunshine and rainbows and everything is perfect and they got nothing to fix. So it's the ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But for him, it's always on that side. It's always on that side. You know, he needs to bring it back to the middle a little bit. I get it. That's his nature as a player. That's who he is. But it just doesn't make for great analysis because it's the same thing every single time. And I have to say this too.
Go ahead.
The person doing the Jacob Media Twitter account did him dirty because when they were sharing the quote,
he was not happy either.
No, he wasn't happy about it, as he should be. But the quote was, as they wrote it on the tweet, it said, they're going to get embarrassed by the blah, blah, blah. They're going to get embarrassed by the Cowboys. But the audio said they're going to get embarrassed by the Cowboys, comma, if they don't clean it up. So the Twitter clip did not help, of course. It did, but regardless, this statement was kind of corny that he's worrying about, you know, the Cowboys coming into Philadelphia and embarrassing them 7 days in the future when we haven't even wrapped up this fucking game yet.
Now,
like, just chill out, man.
The Eagles are not going to get embarrassed by 10 for 16 for 108 yards Cooper Rush. I'll tell you that.
I mean, you want to crown the Cowboys crown their asses, as the late Denny Green once said. Yes. You know, but like, there's a time and place to talk about that. I don't think it's like in the immediate aftermath of the post-game show. Like, let's focus on what may happen next week, 7 days from now, if they don't fix one thing. Like, I don't know. Does this guy enjoy anything? That's my
That's
problem.
another thing. That's
It's not
another
that
thing.
this is not warranted. It's that that's all it ever is, you know?
Yes, and I would say if we just did a quick rundown of, like, the responses to your article, I would say it's skewed kind of 50-50, kind of 60-40, like,
Yeah.
Seth's right, Seth's wrong, Seth's
Yeah.
like, it wasn't like a 90-10, like, Seth, you know, there are a fraction of this fan
Yeah.
base that is like, Seth tells it like it is. Now,
Yeah.
is that because, WIP have ingrained people to think this way for the last 30, 40 years? Is this because people, don't really understand the nuances of the NFL and how hard it is to go out west at 425 and win on the road?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it still works for fractions of this fan base, and it'll work until I don't know, the older generation dies out, I guess.
Well, I mean, and look, there's a lot to unpack here, but I think like I want everybody to understand that my take is that it's like it's not that Seth makes a lot of valid points. He points out a lot of things that need to improve. He talks about stuff that they need to do better if they're going to be a Super Bowl team. Okay, but like it's the absolute pursuit of perfection here.
Yeah.
Like, yes, every good team in the NFL can always do something better. There's always something to improve upon. My problem with Seth is that they could win 52-3 and his focus would be on the 3 points that they gave up, you know? So it's like you can be critical. You absolutely have to ask those questions. He does raise valid points, but when the skew is like mostly that and not enough praise for the good things that are happening, then there's no balance. Ray Didinger was able to balance. Ron Jaworski can balance. Barrett Brooks can balance. Mike
Yes.
Miss on the postgame show can balance. What did they do well? What did they do not well? With Seth, it's not that he's not making good points because he is making good points. Just that's all he fucking talks about. Negative shit. Well, they got to blitz more. They got to get to the quarterback. They got to be tougher. We've heard that over and over and over and over again.